This video is sponsored by Nebula. Poland is right in the middle of a geopolitical crossfire. This election matters a lot. All eyes on the presidential race. 3 contenders in the spotlight, but 2 powerful rivals behind the scenes. End of a political deadlock or a shift back to the right? Poland has just wrapped up the first round of its presidential elections, where citizens had the chance to choose from a field of over 5 candidates. Out of this crowded lineup, 3 contenders stood out as the most popular, with one emerging as a clear frontrunner. And Poland's president is a bit more than just a ceremonial role. You see, in Poland's semi-presidential system, there are 2 key roles: the president and the prime minister. The Prime Minister you might know, currently Donald Tusk from the Civic Coalition. He is the head of the government and holds significant executive power, overseeing the day-to-day operations of the country. And the president is currently Andrzej Duda from the Law and Justice Party. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and has the authority to appoint high-ranking military officials. But crucially, the president also has the power to veto legislation, a power that has proven to be a nightmare for Tusk's current government. While the parliament can override the presidential veto, it requires a 3/5 majority vote in the parliament. And as you've probably guessed, Tusk does not have that supermajority. For example, Tusk's failed attempt to reverse the controversial judicial reforms by the Law and Justice government. These reforms violated EU law, and despite Tusk's effort to reverse them, Duda vetoed the changes, leaving the government at odds with the courts. Therefore, these elections are super important. And without further ado, let's have a look at the results. In third place was Sławomir Mencen, a right-wing populist and chairman of the far-right New Hope Party, as well as one of the leaders of the Confederation Party. He is a tax advisor and known as an anti-establishment outsider, often criticizing the political elite. In second place was Karol Nawrocki, an independent candidate backed by the conservative Law and Justice Party. A historian and president of the Institute of National Remembrance, Nawrocki focuses on Polish nationalism and sovereignty, opposing EU influence. He's also an amateur boxer, often showcasing his skills on stage. And at the very top of the leaderboard was Rafał Trzaskowski, from the center-right civic platform and an ally of Donald Tusk. With a background in political science, Trzaskowski is a former member of the European Parliament and is now the mayor of Warsaw. He is the leader of Poland's more liberal urban voters and the main opposition to the Law and Justice Party. But no one is president just yet. Under Poland's electoral system, voters across the country cast their ballots in the first round for their preferred candidate. If no one wins an outright majority, over 50%, the top 2 contenders advance to a second-round runoff. This decisive face-off, scheduled 2 weeks from now, will see these 2 candidates return to the polls for a direct head-to-head contest. Only then will we know who Poland's next president will be. And these 2 leaders could not be more different. Nawrocki's platform tends to be more nationalist, with strong anti-migrant and anti-EU rhetoric, positioning Poland as more sovereign and less reliant on European cooperation.
Nie zgadzam się na to, aby Unia Europejska decydowała o naszym wymiarze sprawiedliwości, o naszej edukacji, aby ideologia Zielonego Ładu niszczyła polskie rolnictwa. My wchodziliśmy do innej Unii Europejskiej. My wchodziliśmy do Unii Europejskiej, która jest wspólnotą gospodarczą.
He's also a big fan of Donald Trump, aligning with Trump anti-immigration stances and pushing back against woke values. Nawrocki argues that Poland should focus on building an alliance with the US rather than deepening ties with the EU. He even met Trump in the White House and reportedly received his support. Trzaskowski, on the other hand, promotes a more liberal pro-European vision for Poland, and he's a vocal critic of the kind of populist and nationalist politics that Trump represents. Instead, he supports closer integration with EU leaders, especially with the newly energized Weimar Triangle, and is focused on pushing through rule of law reforms to align with EU values and secure access to EU funds. He also believes Ukraine's future is in the EU and potentially even NATO, seeing support for Ukraine as vital in the face of Russian aggression. This stands in stark contrast to Nawrocki, who supports Ukraine's fight against Russia but opposes NATO or EU membership for Ukraine. On immigration, Trzaskowski supports helping Ukrainian refugees, but has backed tightening benefits for the unemployed and suspending asylum rights for those crossing from Belarus. Nawrocki, on the other hand, favors a much more restrictive approach, prioritizing Polish citizens and limiting benefits for all refugees. So, these are the two candidates, and if Trzaskowski wins, this election could be an extraordinary moment for Donald Tusk, who has fought hard to regain control from the right-wing Conservative Law and Justice Party.
Wygrana Rafała Trzaskowskiego w wyborach 18 maja będzie oznaczała tyle, że Donald Tusk będzie rządził właściwie całą Polską, a jak rządzi, to wszyscy widzimy.
What an image it would be. Tusk holding both the government and the presidency. This could position Poland as a European powerhouse, strengthening ties with the Weimar Triangle, the Baltic states, and the Nordic countries. It might mark the beginning of something new, reshaping this part of Europe, perhaps even setting an example for Slovakia and Czechia in the future. A Nawrocki victory, however, could alter this scenario significantly. Government legislation would continue to face presidential vetoes, something that happened once again this week when Andrzej Duda blocked an effort to reform social security payments. This means a significant struggle in the government until the next election in 2027. And on the 1st of June, we'll find out who takes the crown, and with it, the power to shape Poland's future for the next 5 years. And if you haven't noticed already, I love elections. Staying up all night, not knowing which way it will go, and then finally at the end of it all, feeling either thrilled, disappointed, or just plain relieved. But you know what I also find fascinating? Our European history. And of course, one of the biggest events was the Second World War. I recently stumbled across a new creator with a series called Real-Time History, 16 Days in Berlin. Literally 16 episodes, covering the last 16 days of the Second World War, focusing on Berlin, and in such incredible detail. He dives into the big personalities on both the Red Army and the German side, and how they negotiated ceasefires and eventual peace. Even after Hitler's death, the fighting continued. I love maps, and the series is full of them, even showing troop movements. Not to mention, first-hand accounts from soldiers involved. Heartbreaking and fascinating. Now, this kind of content is exclusively available on Nebula, our video sponsor. Nebula is a creator-owned streaming platform made for people who want high-quality content, without ads, without algorithms, and without distractions. It's where top creators post their best and deepest work, original series, extended versions of YouTube videos, and thoughtful deep dives you won't find anywhere else. Like Real-Time History, 16 Days in Berlin, or War Room, or TLDR's WTF America, also known as What to Follow USA, and much, much more. With my link, you can get 40% off Nebula. That's just $36 for an entire year, or $3 a month, at go.nebula.tv/EU Made Simple. So go and watch these series now and enjoy my videos ad-free and dive into some of the best, most thoughtful content out there right now. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are interested, check out the Romanian or Portuguese election results right here. And thank you to our presidents, Jan Schauke, Christian Peter, AGVD, BJ Unite Europe, Stefan, and Mr. Probot. See you in the next video.